Hello everyone, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday morning. I'm Charlita. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. So yes, we're going to talk about this, the fact that pretty privilege is definitely overrated. Now, I will preface this video by simply stating that I do think that, of course, everybody has advantages in life, and then all of us have disadvantages. It could be due to your social status, your financial class, definitely your ethnicity. You know, all of that comes into play. Some people definitely in certain situations definitely do have an advantage. So it's not that I am tone deaf to that. However, today I want to specifically talk about pretty privilege, and I want to talk about my experience. So also, just as a disclaimer, this is only my experience, my opinion. You know, not everyone may have had this. This may not be your experience, or may not be the experience of everyone. I only can tell you things based off of what I have personally experienced. So when I think back to my early childhood, starting when I was in elementary school, there was a period, I would say, when I got to maybe the second or third grade. That's kind of when I noticed that certain girls just did not like me. When I first kind of started having issues with making friends. And also that's kind of also when I just realized just how mean other kids can be. It would be kind of hard for me to make friends once I started getting into the second and third grade. A lot of girls, they would act like they were my friends, and then I would find out later that they were actually talking about me behind my back. And sometimes, a lot of times, you know, they would do certain things as well. And then later on, I would find out that it was either because, you know, they said, well, you know, I think that I'm better than them because I had longer hair, or whatever the case may be. And I was always a very, you know, quiet child. Even as a younger child, I never really was that that outgoing. I was always kind of on the shyer side. And that's when I first kind of started noticing that people looked at me some type of way based off of my appearance. And then when I got into middle school, it got even worse. And it got so bad that I would often fake being sick. I would take the thermometer and run it under hot water, and then I would tell my mother I wasn't feeling well, and then I would take the thermometer, you know, I would have it in hot water, and then when she took my temperature, you know, it would show that I had a fever. I don't know how I did that, but that's what I would do. Or I would make myself vomit so that way I didn't have to go to school. So that's how bad it was. And it kind of this pattern of me having a hard time making friends with other girls, that is something that kind of followed me even in early adulthood. I never really had a hard time making friends with boys or guys, but when it was coming to girls, a lot of times they would present themselves as my friend, and then later on I would find out that they were talking about me behind my back and that they really were not my friend. So, and it would always be the same thing, that I think that I'm better than them or something to that effect. And I never really did anything to show that. And also too, because I was shy and quiet in social settings, I would find that people would say, "Oh, you're stuck up. You don't want to interact with anybody because you're better than other people." And when really I was just shy and quiet. And it just takes me a while just to open up to people. And I think that because of stuff that happened with childhood, and I kind of lost my ability to trust people because of so many friendships that turned into betrayals, or girls just not really being my friend and being hurt, I kind of became closed off. Even in my early adulthood, I was kind of closed off, and I had a really hard time opening up to people in social settings, or just being social in general. So it was just kind of like a no-win situation. And then if I was more outgoing, people, they would say, "Oh, you just want attention." So I never really could find a balance. And in fact, I struggled so much so that in my early teenage years, and even in my 20s to my early 30s, I really just wanted to take myself out. I did not want to be here anymore because it was just such a struggle. In the job place, I also struggled there. I felt like I had to work twice as hard, because a lot of times if I had managers that were females, they were just so mean and so nasty to me. And they made my job so difficult, or they treated me like, or they would talk to me like I was stupid a lot of times. And I had to work twice as hard, I felt like, to prove that I was not stupid. But the way that they would talk to me as if I was, despite the fact that I had 2 degrees, and a lot of times I was more than qualified for these positions, I still felt like I had to work twice as hard once I met the people that were going to be my direct supervisors. And in fact, there was an incident that happened at one particular job. It was my first time ever getting the very first leadership role I ever had. And I got it within a 2-year period of being with the organization. And this is including the time that I was a temp, because I started out as a temp and then I became permanent. And then I would say after becoming permanent, maybe 6 months or 3 months later, I had moved to a different department. And then in that department, I eventually got promoted to being in a leadership role. And it was so bad, and so many women were so upset on the job. They were saying, "Oh, she just got that job just because of how she looks." And it was other women that had been with the company way longer than me, and they felt like they should have got the position. And it got so bad that the manager that I reported to, she actually had to have a meeting with these people, with upper leadership about it. That's just how bad it was, to nip it in the bud. So, and even with that, I coming on board to that position and, conducting meetings with those particular individuals, it was very, you could just feel the tension, because they just you could tell that they could not stand me, and they felt like I didn't deserve to have that position. So again, it made me develop a chip on my shoulder, where I felt like in professional settings, I have always had to overcompensate to prove that I'm not a dummy. So the other thing is that often, just in general with relationships, and I don't want to get too specific into relationships, but men tend to treat you like you don't have any feelings. They tend to treat you like an object. So, the bottom line is this, you know, like I stated in the beginning of this video, everybody has certain advantages in life, and whatever those advantages are that you have, you know, I would say yes, you do need to use them to your favor, but I just want to just be clear that the idea of just because you look a certain way, that's going to spare you, or that all these doors are going to automatically open for people that are attractive, is just simply not true. When you are attractive, a lot of times you have to work just as hard, or harder, I should say. You actually have to work harder to prove yourself. Doors just don't automatically open. People just aren't lined up just to give you free stuff just because you're pretty. So I did want to share this quote that Halle Berry said, and I really think it drives home the point that I want to make in this video.
Let me tell you something. Being thought of as a beautiful woman has spared me nothing in life. No heartache, no trouble. Love has been difficult. Beauty is essentially meaningless and is always transitory.
I think I've said enough. I don't want this video to be too long, but I would like to know if this is something that you have, that you can relate to, or if you have any thoughts on this. Let's just continue this conversation down below. And as always, I wish you the best, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.